I've just started the recording there, so it should be coming up. Yeah.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Just to reintroduce myself, my name is Kerry Mabley and I'm the Careers and Education Manager here at Springboard. We are also joined by Caitlin Clark, the Careers and Education Coordinator, Nick Darker, our Head of the North, and Chris Gam, our CEO. So it's really great to have my colleagues with us here today. We are also very privileged to be joined by Lee Clarkson, and shortly we will also have another chef joining us called Simon. Who's literally just running into his building now, and then oh, he's actually here now. So that speak of him, and he's joining us. Simon.
Good afternoon, morning, even.
Can you hear us, Simon?
I can hear you. Yeah. Do I have to go on video? Because I'm in a car in a car park.
No, this is the life of a chef, everybody. So no, you don't have to go onto video, Simon, if it's too much trouble. But I was just explaining to everybody, thank you so much today for being able to join us at such short notice. So I really do appreciate it. We are just going to start with Lee at the moment, and I'm going to hand over to Lee to just introduce himself to everybody. So today we are talking about sectors of the industry. So both Lee and Simon will be talking about the sector that they actually work in, and telling you a little bit about what's involved to become a chef in that sector as well. So Lee, over to you.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, so I'm Lee. I am the resourcing executive for Handpicked Hotels, which basically means I look after chef recruitment for the 21 hotels across our group.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So I assume that's not where you started as a chef, so tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I started off as a kitchen porter, actually. First job when I was 16, and someone just took a chance on me. The chef in the kitchen saw something that he liked, started giving me some more things to do, more prep, and it meant I went to college and ended up being a chef from there through quite a mixed career through restaurants, hotels, bit of catering work for on tours for bands and stuff, Michelin star restaurants. So a whole different background, really.
Fantastic, that's great stuff. So yeah, literally starting as a kitchen porter, that's exactly how my career started, washing the dishes. So there's nothing wrong with that, and I think it gives you a real great insight into the kitchen because you get to observe quite a lot as well, which I think is we're quite lucky in that position as well. So fantastic that somebody took a chance. Did you go on to do an apprenticeship, or was it that you went on just on to college?
Yeah, I went to Burton College, did my MVQ 2 and 3 there. It was a mix of college and work-based learning. I was fortunate enough to be in a 2 rosette restaurant when I was training, so had a good start to my career.
Brilliant, good stuff. So you've spoken about the different sectors that you have worked in, but you're currently working in the hotel sector now. So what kind of chef opportunities are available in the hotel sector?
So we have everything available from apprentices all the way through to executive chefs. You can start in the hotel sector and go from apprentice, commie, CDP, to head chef. But I think the sort of real different ones that we have in the hotel sector is sort of like breakfast and banqueting, which can offer quite a different sort of role to a chef. If you like being up early in the mornings, having an earlier finish, having your evenings off, breakfast chef is a good role. If you're not too bothered about restaurant cooking, then banqueting chef's quite a good one as well. But generally, it's the normal positions that you would get in any other kitchen.
That's fantastic. What do you love the most about your job and the hotel sector?
My job, it gives me a chance to be out of the kitchen, but use the skills that I've learnt. Recruitments for chefs, you've got to understand the chef's background. You've got to be able to see where they've been and what they've done and the sort of restaurants or hotels or pubs they've worked in. But I think for me, it's the work-life balance that I love the most. It's it's a bit more normal hours. Just being a chef for 20 years, you've lost quite a lot of time in that period. So that's the part I love the most, definitely.
Good stuff. So we're talking about working hours in the hotel sector as well, and you have kind of touched upon, if you like, early starts or late finishes and things. So can you just describe a couple of typical different shifts that people might undertake whilst they're in the kitchens?
Yeah, I think the normal sort of hotel shift, if you're a breakfast chef, it can be sort of 6 a.m. through to probably 2, 3 in the afternoon. Quite often it's a early start with a split back for dinner service, but sometimes it can be a late start in the, starting around midday, finishing around 9, 10 o'clock in the evening. It just it can vary. But I think it seems to be getting a little bit better. I mean, us as a group, we've changed to a 4-day on, 3-day off rota. So we do a later start with a sort of all day and 3 days off. So it seems to be improving from when I was doing all day splits.
No, absolutely. And I think that's, there is still this perception of having to work really long hours and split shifts and not getting any time off. So it's really refreshing to hear that actually organisations like Handpicked Hotels are looking at how they can make that work-life balance much better for the people that are working with them as well. So in terms of the kind of operations that you have in the hotels, are you just a straightforward hotel with a restaurant, or do you have meetings and events, banquets, those kind of things?
Yeah, well, each hotel has its own sort of focus. Some are very focused on restaurants. Our hotels over in Jersey have smaller restaurants that they have higher rosettes and Michelin stars in. Some of our hotels are completely banqueting focused, where they'll do around 150 weddings a year. So we do have a range. They all offer breakfast, lunch, dinner, afternoon tea, lounge menus, room service as standards. But yeah, some are more focused on the banqueting side. Some are more focused on the a la carte and leisure side of the industry.
Brilliant. And in terms of the chef roles then, do you have chefs that specifically just work on the banqueting, or would a chef typically get involved in everything?
If it's quite a banqueting focused hotel, there is banqueting teams. The ones that mix it in and have a bit more of a split, the kitchen's responsible for everything. But no, it just depends on the hotel, to be honest.
Brilliant. And for a young person starting out then, they would get the opportunity to look at all the different, I mean, you've mentioned afternoon teas, which are a huge thing in hotels, particularly because of your hotels and your locations. So do you have the opportunity for them to learn things like patisserie and learn specific skills, or is it that they just would learn lots and lots of different skills as they go on?
Yeah, they have the opportunity to move around the sections and move around the hotels and learn the individual sort of differences between each hotel. But we offer the chefs the chance to get on further courses and further education within the kitchens that they're working in. So they can take up a pastry course if they're interested in going on to that through the hotel's training systems.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, the chefs try and move the kitchen team around for variety, keep it fresh in them, rather than doing the same section for months on end.
No, that's great, and so it's great to hear that a young person could potentially be starting in one area, learning one skill, and then start to develop in another area and learning another skill as well, which is great. So, what advice do you have for anybody that is thinking about either becoming a chef or becoming a chef within the hotel sector?
I think the best advice is to move around quite a lot. I mean, don't spend short periods of time at places. Spend at least a year in a hotel, but whilst you're young, move around the country, move around the world if you can. Take on seasonal roles, see as much difference as you can, because as you move around and change and see different ways of doing things, as you progress as a chef and you become more senior, you build your own sort of repertoire through all your experiences. You stay put and have sort of only one sort of experience for 10 years. That's all you're gonna end up doing when you become a sous chef or a head chef. And so variety, I think, is the biggest advice I'd give. Also look after your CV, make sure you're keeping it up to date and keeping it relevant, change it so it's interesting for people to read. The amount of CVs I read, if you want to get the good jobs, you've got to make it stand out. But yeah, I think it's just as well, just work hard, listen to your senior chefs, ask questions, to be like a sponge, take all the information in.
Absolutely. And if you have you travelled with your job, Lee, has that taken you to any weird and wonderful places?
I've been very fortunate with my travel. I was a tour chef for the Rolling Stones through Europe.
Wow.
So I saw a lot of major cities. Then I went as a private chef to the States for 5 years. So I had the fortunate to be able to live in California, which was lovely.
Amazing. Wow, that sounds great. So I obviously know you can't tell us about any of your clients when you were a private chef, but what kind of people were you cooking for? Was there any weird foods that they requested?
Healthy food, to be honest. It was
Yeah.
very healthy lifestyle they were leading, which was easy all year round in California. It was you could get fresh vegetables even in the winter because the sun was always out. So yeah, just very healthy cooking, which was different for me. I've always cooked with a lot of fat and butter and cream and stuff. So yeah, it was nice to have that change.
And do you think your experience as a chef, learning your trade, learning all about food and things like that, really helped you in that particular concept? Because you were saying that, you were used to cooking with fats and butters and that kind of thing, but then having to change that, do you think the experience you've had has really helped you?
Definitely. If I wouldn't have, had the variety in my early career and learned different styles of cooking, different, areas, different parts of the world and different techniques, then it would have been a lot harder to adapt over there. Definitely.
And do you think adaptability is a skill that a chef really does need in order to be able to succeed?
Yeah. If you're really gonna make a career out of this, you've got to be flexible and adapt to tough situations and think on your feet, because it's never a normal sort of day. Each day is different. Someone's going to come in with some wild request that you're not ready for.
What is the strangest request that comes to mind that you've had?
Someone that was allergic to red.
Red?
The colour reds. Yeah, I think it was a very strange one. So anything red on the plate or in the food had to be removed. That was a very strange request.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever come across that one before. Never. But we think on our feet, we're adaptable, and that's what we have to do to make the customer happy. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for that insight, Lee. We will come back to you in a little bit because I'm sure there will be some questions that we've got. But I really do appreciate all of that insight as well. It was fantastic.
No problem.
So I'm just going to move over to Simon. So Simon, I know that you're not on video. Oh, there he is. Look, he does have a video. And you're on mute, my love.
I am in my car, as you can see by the blurred background.
But I really do appreciate you coming. So literally, he's the knight in shining armour for us today. Well, Lee is as well, actually, being able to come out of that. Oh, I'm not flattering you anymore. What you'll learn, everybody is chefs like lots of flattery as well. But I really do appreciate it, Simon, because I know how busy you are at the moment. So you work in a very different sector to Lee. You work in the food service management sector. So do you just want to introduce yourself and talk to us a little bit about what your job role is in the food service management sector?
Yeah, so my name's Simon Hodgkinson. I've been in this industry for 30 plus years. I know I don't look old enough, but I have. My parents used to have pubs, so I used to peel spuds and do veg and stuff like that for my mum on a Sunday when they used to do Sunday dinners, and then I got like a part-time commis chef job at local hotels. And then from that moved into chefing and hotels and restaurants. Got to a point where I'd had enough of hotels and restaurants. Late shifts. I think the point of it was when my girlfriend at the time was coming to the restaurant when I was cleaning up at 1 o'clock in the morning for a lift home drunk, and I'm like, there's got to be a better life to that than me still cleaning the kitchen and her coming to the restaurant for a lift home. So I got into contract catering from then. So contract catering is, if people don't know what it is, if you see big call centers like there's Amazon warehouses, there's like O2 call centers, there's Sky, places like that, they all will have a staff restaurant inside that facility, and contract catering people are the ones that provide that food. Some of it is what's called subsidised, where Sky, for example, will pay for part of the food for people. Some of it's free, and some of it is high street prices, depending on where you go and what you see. Food service, from our perspective, is very, very varied. We have distribution centres. So I'm currently sat outside a DHL distribution centre about to go in, and all they will want is a cheeseburger and chips and bacon sandwiches on a morning and things like that. And then we also provide food for accountancy firms in London and banks and places like that. And they have, if you imagine what Leon's like, I don't know if anybody's been to Leon, but it's full sit down. It's all computerized because we do pre-order systems computerized, where people can pre-order from the desk and then come down and pay for it and then come down and pick it up at a certain time. And it's full salad bars and chicken and meat and all this different great stuff and loads of different variety of foods. But then we have that at one level and then burgers and bacon sandwiches at the other. And food service from our section varies from that and in there and everything. We do horse trials, we do race courses, we do football grounds, we do O2 Arena. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that we do from our perspective, we do hospitals and schools and places like that as well. So yeah, massive variety within Compass Group. And there's loads of different branches of Compass Group as well.
Brilliant. No, that sounds great. So there'd be a chef role for anybody then, for everybody to learn a different skill.
Yeah, whatever you want. If some, like, we know that chefs sometimes, I mean, I was a home bird. I did work away and liked to be close to home. You know, I worked in France for a bit, but still always came back to Yorkshire. But then there's other chefs that just want to branch out. Compass is that big. I know a colleague of mine in security, his son has emigrated over to Australia. He's now a granddad and he wants to go over to be with his son. He's been over and he's scouted jobs in Perth with Compass. So
wow.
If within Compass you want to transfer to another country, we know about jobs. I had a member of my team that was Dutch. He wanted to go back home and we got interviews for him. That they had Teams interviews because obviously you can't just pop over to Holland for an interview. But yeah, we got interviews set up for him. He chose not to move abroad. He wanted to stay back in England near his kids. But you know, Compass is that massive that if you get yourself in with Compass and think, I want to go and work in Australia, you can just go and work in Australia, and it is technically an email away to find out if there's any positions there or wherever. We are massive all over the world.
That's really, really great, especially if young people are wanting to travel or anybody's wanting to travel really for those opportunities. So what's your experience been like within the food service management sector?
Varied, really. I mean, as I mentioned, Sky. So Sky TV used to work for them. As you know, Kerry, we had the Sky one in Leeds. I'm speaking in past tense because what happens within our industry and that is that you go to work for a business and then it gets taken over by another contract catering business. So you move employers, but you're still doing the same job. It's a bit weird. So it's just like a takeover, I suppose, isn't it, of your business? Yeah. So when I used to work for Sky, that was superb. I went to the Sky Studios down in London where they do all the filming, saw all that. I've seen a lot of changes as well because obviously COVID happened. As I mentioned earlier, we used to have call centres. They used to be absolutely packed. As you know, you'd be down to Dearne Valley. They used to be absolutely packed, but obviously that has affected us and we've had to alter how we are with our business. I mentioned earlier about pre-ordering things. You know, we've had to change the way our business is to suit the customers and the clients' needs. And it's always changing. We're always trying to innovate things. And today I'm at this DHL site because we're opening a site a mile down the road on the same estate and they want food. And we're talking electric. Have you seen those things in Milton Keynes that do the delivery? Have you seen the robots?
No.
Right, okay. So I'm here today because we're using the main site where we're at to distribute food to another site which is a mile down the road. We're going to the idea is that people that work down there are going to pre-order it. We will make it at this site, put it in a robot, and then that will go from our site where we've made it and just trundle itself down to the other site. They'll open the box with a QR code, take the dinner out, shut the lid, and the robot comes back.
Wow. I think, well, I don't know where to go with that, if I'm to be quite honest.
So yeah, the robot thing starts in Milton Keynes. So if you live in Milton Keynes, you can order on Co-op. People at Co-op will put your stuff in this robot, and it comes to your house.
That is bizarre.
Google them. Google the Milton Keynes robots, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And yeah,
Wow.
so we're on about doing that here because we were looking at setting up another place down there, and it's like you're talking a member of staff and fridge and hot equipment, and you're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, whereas an app and a robot is really, really cheap. So
but the cooking is obviously still done by people, and there's that people element still.
Wow. And then just drop it into a robot, press send, and then it'll trundle off, and then drop its food off.
Well, I did not expect that today, Simon, when you agreed to come in and support us. But how fantastic! So you will have to keep us posted on that and let us know how that goes. So what do you really like about working in the food service management sector? I mean, obviously we've heard from Lee about how hours are getting much better in the hotel sectors. What are the hours like within the food service management?
A lot of people come out of hotels and restaurants to come into the contract catering or food service industry because of the hours, because it is predominantly Monday to Friday, bank holidays off, weekends off, and things like that. I must admit that when I first came in, it was really odd having weekends off, really odd having bank holidays off. But I do know that the hotel industry, as Lee was saying earlier, they have changed. I can't remember what hotel it is or what group it is down in London, but I know that they're employing chefs just on 4-day weeks now. I can't remember which one it is. The name, I've lost the name, but yeah, I know that they're changing and adapting as well. So maybe that niche thing that we had of no weekends and stuff might not be much of a sway now if the hotels are getting on it.
But do you think it's great, Simon, how the industry is changing to adapt to those needs, to ensure that we are looking after the people that are in our industry? Yeah,
totally. I mean, the amount of stuff that we do as well from a people perspective and mental health perspective, supporting people, our industry is just, from when I started many, many moons ago, compared to where it is now, it's a completely different industry, different industry. We have mental health advisors and first aiders that are just paid for by Compass to help people out. And through the pandemic that we've had, people have suffered. Whereas 20, 30 years ago, if somebody was feeling a bit down, you just buy a pint for them and that was it. It is completely changed. There's a lot more support for people. And I think we did have a bad rep, when people like Gordon Ramsay haven't helped that with the way that he used to shout and swear at people on TV. You get more out of people, I find, by being polite and nice to them and treating them how you expect to be treated. So, I think that aspect has changed the industry a lot, especially from when I was a trainee. I don't think what I saw when I was younger would get away with half as much as that. And that's a good thing, because it's probably in the past pushed people away from the industry, whereas now, because of all the support and everything that we can give people, it's drawing people in to say, the pay might not be the greatest pay, but there's a lot of perks, there's a lot of different things that you get, and you get free meals.
There we go. Cooked by great chefs.
As you can tell by my figure.
No, I mean, it's really refreshing to hear from both you and Lee how, the industry is changing to help to support the people that are working in there as well. So my last question to you before we go to questions and answers is, what advice do you have for anybody thinking about coming into the food service management sector and about being a chef?
Well, I mean, I got a load of experience in working in restaurants, and I did pastry section, sauce section, mains. I did veg sections. I worked in France. I did loads and loads of different things, and I wouldn't ever change that. And I think that people need to gain that experience. But I think I was probably about 5 years. If I'd have started a bit earlier and things like that, I'd have probably got a bit more out of it. You know, I've still got a few years left in me, but I do think that it has a little bit of a bad reputation, as in people think it's a poor substitute. And as I mentioned, you go into the banks and places like that, and some of these accountancy firms that we do, and O2. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal, some of the food that they do. For the last 5 years, I think we've done the food at the Brit Awards. So when the Brit Awards are being done, we do all the meals for them. I'm actually doing it's a classic car event down at one of our sites in July. So there's a little car called Austin 7, and they're bringing some cars, and I'm probably not selling it great, but yeah, there's a car that's worth £1 million that's coming that we're going to have security for 24 hours for 5 days, and all these enthusiasts are coming, and we're setting up street food events. So that's right down my street. So so I'll be like doing a burger and a hot dog and breakfast thing, and yeah, so it is quite varied, and it's not what people's perceptions are of it, because my perception of what contract catering was compared to what it actually is now is massive. So my advice would be for people to just not knock it, go out and get some experience, but go and have a look at it. And the earlier you start, the better. We've got some amazing sites, and we're always looking for people.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you. Really great insight there as well, Simon. Obviously from fine dining through to street food, through to anything in between, and robots delivering your meals. Just
I'll
really,
send you a video.
It would be it'd be very interesting to see. Absolutely.
And robot vacuum cleaners as well from a facilities perspective. We've got those. Have you seen those?
We could all do with a robot vacuum cleaner, if I'm to be honest.
Yeah, I've got videos of those as well. One of them even speaks to you and can say good morning.
Brilliant. I love it. Thank you so much, Simon. The other sector that we were going to cover today was the pubs and bars sector. And unfortunately, our speaker couldn't make it this morning. But you can find more information on our Career Scope website, and Caitlin will pop the link into the chat as well around that sector. But pretty much like what the guys have been saying, and from what I know about the sector, and working in it myself, it has changed dramatically over the years. It's not it's not just typical pub grub now. Your pies and your fish and chips and things. They've gone down the route of gastropubs, which I have worked in a gastropub before, designing menus and things. Going down to almost some fine dining in some of the pubs and bars as well. Some of them can be small brewery owned, some of them can be large independent chains. And again, like Lee and Simon have said, there's masses of opportunities in terms of apprenticeships and training and development that you can get in that sector as well. So if anybody does need any more specific advice, as I say, Caitlin can send the link and to where you can find that information on our Career Scope website. So I'm just going to hand over now. Does anybody have any questions for Lee or Simon? If you just want to pop those into the chat. I don't think anybody's typing just yet. No, I don't think we've got any questions today, guys. So, actually, no, we do have one. Lee, how did you find out about jobs in the private sector or the chef touring? How did that come about?
So I was at a restaurant, a hotel called Gilpin Lodge up in Cumbria, and I got chatting to a guest there who owns a company called Eat Your Hearts Out, and they just did different events. It was Tattersalls was the original one that I did, which was the horse racing sort of auctioneering place down in Cambridge Way in Newmarket. And just from there, it just moved on from doing those smaller gigs, just proving what I was capable of doing, and being put onto those bigger tours that were going around.
So I suppose it's about those connections, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
keeping your ear to the ground, you know, selling yourself as opposed to the options and the opportunities that you've got.
Yeah, exactly. It was just being in a really good high standards hotel and restaurant where these people that own these companies could afford to come to, and you know they're always on the lookout for good talents because they have these companies and they will just ask questions and see if you're interested. So you the dream.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So thank you for that. Has anybody got any other questions? Don't think we've got any more coming through. But if you did want to find out about any more information, you can go through our CareerScope website, or you can contact myself or Caitlin direct if there are any questions that you think of afterwards as well. So I would just like to say a huge thank you to both Lee and to Simon. And Simon, thank you again for stepping in at such last minute, my emergency call out there. I really do appreciate it because I do know that it is a busy time. The industry is picking up lovely. I know, Lee, we were talking just before we came on screen about wedding season starting again. You know, so weddings starting to come up again. And obviously, Simon, you've got the new distribution that's going on as well, the new with the robots, which is fantastic. I think we have just had one more question that's come through, and that is, what age did you start working?
Legally or illegally?
Yeah. Let's go legally.
Well, as I say, I used to work for my mum and dad, so I was like peeling spuds and stuff at 13 in my mum's pub. But then I did get a part-time job at a hotel when I was 16. I got that through work experience. I did work experience with school and then just got that whilst I went through catering college. So yeah, 16 for me.
Brilliant. And what about yourself, Lee?
Yeah, same for me. Legally 16. Few odd jobs before that, but
yeah, and I think everybody has odd jobs. I had odd jobs.
Yeah.
I was doing a barbecue in a pub at 14. Probably shouldn't have been doing that, but that was quite some time ago. But yeah, my first legal job was at 16, working as a kitchen porter. You mentioned work experience, Simon. Do you think that's something that's really important?
Yeah, because you know you can go in and see whether you like it or not, and it's only like a couple of weeks or months or something like that. You know, as I said, I went and I did work experience all over really. I did bits in Leeds, I did it around Pontefract neck of the woods. I went and did some. I even went to, because I wanted to learn a bit of Chinese food, I went to the local restaurant in Sherburn and just went and asked them if I could go and stand and watch. And it weren't really work experience. I was just standing watching and seeing what they could do. So it's just something to give you a bit more knowledge. You know, I mean, you know me, Kerry, I'm a bit mouthy, so I just thought, like, ask somebody while I was picking up my takeaway. And then I went and did a bit of work in France, and that, I mean, I always go back to that all the time because, you know, I loved it. It was completely different, totally out of my comfort zone in a foreign country where nobody spoke English. And back then, believe it or not, there were no mobile phones or FaceTime or any of that malarkey. You know, it was a payphone and stuff like that. So yeah, it was difficult, but absolutely one thing that I look back on with pride that I did. So yeah.
And what about yourself, Lee? If you obviously you've done quite a lot, but what would you say about work experience?
Yeah, I think it's a good insight to how life's going to be after school. It's yeah, when you're at school and you're doing your GCSEs and you've got loads of freedom, it's a good insight into what the next sort of few years are going to be for yourself, and good chance to pick a direction you want to go in. Like if you do work experience and it is something you don't like, you know you've got to adapt and maybe go to college and do a different course or do a different MVQ or something like that. So yeah, it's work experience.
Do you offer work experience, Lee, within handpicked hotels?
It's yeah, we can do that. Yeah, it's something that we don't do much of at the moment, but we're trying to find apprentices more than anything that have made that choice into it, just because of the sort of how busy the kitchens are, the nature of nature of the safety issues and everything that come with it. But yeah, if someone's made that decision, then that's where we try and pick them up at that early age.
Good stuff. And Simon, what about yourself for work experience?
We have done it in the past. A lot of our buildings, we have to because we're working in a building that, for example, is Sky or DHL or stuff like that, we have to ask their permission because we're only just providing the food bit. So we have done it. There is age restrictions, I think, from a company perspective, but if we get the okay from our health and safety people, we do risk assessments for people and things like that, and we get the okay from clients, then yeah, we can do that.
Fantastic. I mean, I just have one other question that's come in. It says, I think this is for you, Simon. How do you cope with all the food orders in the food service management sector, contract catering? So I think that's, you know, because obviously the volume that's coming through.
Yeah, it is massive volumes of food that we go through, but it's all changed now. It's all done online. Basically, if you have got experience of doing online Sainsbury's, Tesco or Asda shop, it's just exactly the same as that, just on a grander scale. Simple as that, really.
Brilliant.
You know, yeah, and that's done just through a laptop. You just go on. We have different suppliers for things. So we have our food supplier, our chemicals, disposables, and paper and stuff like that. So it's all just, yeah, one site, loads of different suppliers. You click on what you want and then go and order it. But we're going to be moving to iPads. I think we're doing a trial with iPads and stuff like that going forward. So gone are the days of having a piece of paper that I used to do orders with and waking up in the middle of the night going, did I ring the butcher? Which I have done in the past, woken up in the middle of the night, fretting and worrying that I've not placed an order, and then ringing the butcher at like 1 o'clock in the morning and leaving a message on the answer machine. So yeah, it's just on a grander scale of an online shop now, basically.
Brilliant.
Nothing more exciting than that.
And in terms of your clients that are actually coming in and ordering the food and things, in terms of volumes, does that vary from site to site? How does the ordering cope with that?
Yeah, the ordering's fine. There is times when obviously now we got pressures on because of what's happening in Europe and with Brexit and things like that. We struggle with oil at the moment. We're struggling to get a good supply of that. But yeah, they do always have alternatives. So what else was I going to say? What was the question again? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Coping with like the food orders, both ordering the food.
Oh, right, yeah. So some sites we have thousands and thousands of people, you know, and then other sites you have 100, 200 people. So each site is, you know, you'll staff it accordingly. And as I say, the ordering of it, if you've got a small site and you're ordering six pints of milk, you'll order 6. If you've got a massive site with thousands of people, you'll press 600. And yeah, just like that.
Brilliant.
Do you think this ordering system could work in a school? Yeah, it could work in a smaller scale. As I say, we've got sites that are really, really quiet, but the client wants us to provide a facility for their staff. So we literally just have a coffee bar where they will do 20, 30 people a day and just serve coffee. But the client has said to their members of staff and their incentive is, we will provide a coffee bar.
Yeah.
So yeah, the ordering system would work on a smaller scale.
And everything's very client-led, isn't it? With the kind of
things.
Yeah. Well, I suppose like in hotels, though, it is very client-led. You know, if you've got banquets, you could have a banquet for about 3 people, or you could have a banquet for 150 people. It will just depend on what the customers wanting. So it's about, I suppose, being responsive to those people that you're working with. Brilliant. So I think that's all for questions at the moment. Once again, a massive thank you to both of you for taking up your very precious time to come and speak and give us an insight into the hotel and food service management sectors. If anybody does have any questions or wants to get into contact with us afterwards, you absolutely can. You can also visit our CareerScope website, which again, Caitlin will be sending the link out to you. And we also do have the facility for young people to create a career profile as well, in order for us to be able to help you further in your careers too. But again, a massive thank you to everybody that's joined us today, for the teachers and the students, to my colleagues and to Lee and Simon. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No worries. Bye.
Absolutely.
Bye.
All right.